Hello everybody, how are you all students? Done with your prose lessons today? What are we going to do, you know? We are going to do something that we all enjoy, right? I mostly enjoy and you all too enjoy, okay? So before telling you what we are going to learn and read today, let me put you some questions. Are you all ready for the questions and this new module, right? What is the new module about? I'll let you know, okay? First of all, this is Vidya welcoming you to a new session, right? Welcome dear students. Hello. Be alert. Are you all alert? Sit straight. Good. So what are we going to learn? So first question for all of you. Have you seen your mother humming some song when she is cooking? Any time? Did you observe? While she is cooking in the kitchen, she must be singing some song. Did you ever listen to her song? Yes or no? Mothers in their own beautiful voices, melodious voices, do they sing? Did you ever observe that? Yes? And did you ever observe your father while driving the car or while driving the motorbike? They hum some songs, right? Whether they know the lyrics or not, but still they hum some song. Do you know why do they sing some songs? Is it because they love songs they sing? Yes? Is it because of that? Do you really think so? No, right? It's just because they get some kind of a relief. They get some kind of happiness. They get some kind of peace. They forget what they are doing and they enjoy what they are doing. Right? When they sing some song. Yes or no? You all agree with me, right? Brilliant. Right. Likewise, in every field, in every type of work, we observe people humming some songs in their own tongues, in their own voice, in their own languages, right? And we are especially today talking about some particular field, okay? One specific field we are going to talk about, okay? You all know folk songs, right? The one that is different from that of other songs. Have you ever, you've been to villages. I'm sure many of you must have visited villages. In English, especially in the British English, we call the villages as countryside. Country, right? Countryside. So, have you been any time to any of the villages, maybe in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Punjab, wherever you belong to? Have you been there? Tamil Nadu. What is one specific thing about villages that is striking for everybody? Yes, it's of course the people who live there. They're definitely so sweet and they're so very pure. We're not talking about that. We're talking about something else. We find lot of greenery, right? And we also find lot of agricultural fields. Do you find them in villages or not? Yes, especially when you come to southern part of India, there are many agricultural lands, right? So, what is this process of agriculture? We are not going deep into the process, but still, little bit of information we all need to know. So, there is a whole lot of things that happen for a crop to come to our hands. We all eat paddy, right? We all eat, what do we eat? Rice, no? From where do we get this rice? Huh? You all know, from the paddy fields, right? And some people, when you eat your rotis, right? The wheat fields are there, okay? So you all like corn, maize. For that also, there are so many crops. So for a crop to grow, it takes a lot of time, right? It may be for some crops 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, like that. But for a farmer, whoever is working in the field, what is the best part? When is the best time in their lives? The best time for them is the harvesting time. The harvesting time. So when the harvest, what is a harvest? When the whole of the crop has come to the ripened state, when they can cut the crop and they can give it to the marketplaces and take the money and come home and celebrate. And not just for the money's sake, but they also feel so happy and satisfied when they see the crop grow in front of their eyes, and when it reaches to that full form of ripeness, and when they cut these grains and all, they feel so very happy. They pray to God for whatever so has happened, and they celebrate this moment. You all know this. And for that, when they are cutting these grains, they sing songs. Not just in India, not just in southern part of India, not just in India, elsewhere, anywhere in the world, they celebrate this harvest season. For some it is spring season, for some it is in the month of January. It differs basing on the crop. But we all enjoy that particular season of harvest. It is so very holy. And when you see these workers in the fields, they hum a lot of songs in their own ways. I cannot really name some songs. You must be hearing too many. But the folk songs in general, the Telugu song, if the very recent movie, the folk song, if we take Telugu movie song, Chittarala Chirapadu, Chittarala Chirapadu. You remember this song? From which movie it is? Ala Vaikuntapuram, right? Like that, so many songs they may be humming. Especially for this harvest season, you may not be knowing, but your parents must be knowing the name of the movie, Mother India. It is a very popular movie and has won many awards. In that movie also, during the time of harvest, all these farmers, they sing happy song. What is that song, you know? Dukh bhar din gayo re bite re, sukh bhar din ayo re bhaiya, sukh bhar din ayo re, dukh bhar din bite re, sukh bhar din ayo re, Nandlala, Nandlala. Some beautiful song. I do not really remember the exact song, but still I remember this song because it is a very popular song, and we can also relate emotionally with their happiness. So why am I talking about all these songs today? Yes, there must be some connection, right? Our connection today is we are going to listen to or read a similar type of a song written by one of my favorite poets and everybody's favorite poet. Many people love him. His name is none other than William Wordsworth. Do you know William Wordsworth? You must have heard the name several times, and one masterpiece of him you must have read many times. What is that one masterpiece that I'm talking about? No doubt, I'm talking about Daffodils, right? Daffodils is very, very popular, right? Likewise, he also wrote many poems. He is actually known as a nature poet. Nature poet may not sound great, but he is known as a romantic poet because romantic poets belong to a particular age. The poets belonging to that age, especially William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge, these two good friends, they have written number of poems on nature. So when I learned these poems, my teachers, and now even when I am a teacher now, I have a guru, and these people, when these people told me or they taught me that one thing about William Wordsworth especially. What did they say, you know? They said that William Wordsworth has seen God in nature. Because of their knowledge and their understanding, they have said this, that Wordsworth has seen God in nature. We have our own religious gods, no doubt, but for him, he has seen God in nature. There is spirit in nature, there is life in nature, as per William Wordsworth. That is why his poems, all the poems or all his works, prelude or lyrical ballads or whatever you may take, all these poems relate to nature and they speak volumes about nature, right? We also should be very, very grateful, and we should express our gratitude for the nature. So unless and until you know, after a tired day, some people like listening to music, some people watch TV, but few people, they just go outside and sit in their balconies if they have, or if they are living in a villa or an independent house, they come out and sit in the lawn. So that alone, that gives them lot of peace and happiness, right? Nature has this healing capacity, we say, right? So that is why he loves nature a lot, and there is definitely lot of importance to what my gurus have taught me. I understood that way. I respect their words, and I also believe what they have said is true, because I also felt the same. Fine. So now let's come back to the poem that we have today. Okay, the poem that we have today is The Solitary Reaper. You know this poem? What is the name of the poem? The name of the poem is The Solitary Reaper. The Solitary Reaper by William Wordsworth. Okay, The Solitary Reaper by William Wordsworth. So before we read the poem and understand the meaning of the poem, let us see something about the poet. Okay, what is written in your textbook? I have told you many things, but here we should also refer to the textbook content, right? So let us see what he has given in the textbook. See here in your textbook, the poet introduction. William Wordsworth, 1770 to 1850, was a notable English romantic poet who, along with Samuel Taylor Coleridge, I told you, right? S.T. Coleridge, none other than Samuel Taylor Coleridge, wrote lyrical ballads and formally launched the age of Romanticism in English literature. He became the poet laureate of Britain in the year 1843. That is what is given in your textbook, in your Raintree English Reader. Okay, that is the introduction given here. So you understand that this man is known as the romantic poet with his friend Samuel Taylor Coleridge. He has written number of poems related to nature. The one that we are going to discuss is The Solitary Reaper. Solitary Reaper. Okay. So before we begin with the poem, can you understand the title? When we read, does that make any sense for us? Do you know the meanings of the word this solitary reaper? Solitary reaper. Two different words, right? What do you mean by solitary? Okay. Many of you must be knowing the word solitary. Solitary means, solitary is one, single. Okay. Single or one. Okay. So when something is alone, not exactly alone in a negative sense, but single without company of the humanly people, or without company of people in general. Fine. Solitary. Okay. And now coming to reaper. Who is a reaper? As we discussed just now about the agricultural fields, paddy fields, reaping and all of that. Reaping, reap, meaning when the crop comes to the ripened state, when they cut this, the whole process, the cutting of the crop and bringing all the cut crop together and binding them together, the whole process is called reaping. Harvesting, okay, we say harvesting, right? That is reaper. The one who does, a person who does harvesting is known as reaper. Okay, the one who does this work is known as reaper. So how is the reaper? Is he having many people with him in this poem? No. The reaper is single, alone, especially in the poem that we are going to read. That is the title significance for the poem, The Solitary Reaper. Am I clear, all my dear children? Do you all understood what I am trying to say? This solitary reaper means a single reaper, a person who is doing the work in the field all alone. Fine? So, when we understand this word solitary, it has a higher meaning. So, you may be single, but you are happy with your own loneliness. You're not sad. You're not in some kind of a loneliness which generally people feel. Solitary meaning here you're happy. Solitude, we say, right? So you're happy, you're in a blissful state. Likewise, even the one who is reaping the crops, the reaper, is also in a blissful state, happy state, okay? And is doing the work which is her routine, okay? Now let us read the poem. Yeah, so here is the poem for you. It's a big, little lengthy poem. I have put some green things here, though they may not exactly, you may not exactly understand. But what I mean to say is the green fields actually. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Now, so coming after the title significance, one more thing about the setting of the poem. So where is the poem there should be some place where it is happening, right? So this particular poem happens to take reference of Scotland, okay? You all know the country Scotland, right? And here in the poem they are talking especially about the countryside of Scotland, okay? When Wordsworth visited Scotland along with his sister Dorothy Wordsworth, what were his emotions? We are not going deep into that, but let's quickly, on the surface, we should understand that the setting of the poem is Scotland. Okay, shall I try reading out the poem for you? Let's, whenever we read poem, we should try reading them in some melodious way. Is one of my coordinators advised this, and I am trying to do that. Okay, so let us see. Behold her, single in the field, yon solitary Highland lass, reaping and singing by herself. Stop here or gently pass. Alone she cuts and binds the grain, and listen and sings a melancholy strain. Oh, listen, for the wind profound is overflowing with the sound. Okay, the first two stanzas I have sang for you. Okay, let me read now clearly so that you all understand. I hope you all enjoyed. Sorry for my bad voice, but still, I tried. Fine. Behold her, single in the field, yon solitary Highland lass, reaping and singing by herself. Stop here or gently pass. Behold her. What do you mean by behold her? Behold, when you read the word behold, you should all understand. Beholder's eye. There is one proverb, right? Means behold. Behold means look at. Okay? Look. Behold her. Look at her. the poet is saying. Who should look at her? Is there any other person other than the reader and the poet? He's walking in the countryside, but now he is singing this. He is telling something to all of us through the poem. So we are the readers. Maybe he is telling to the readers. Okay? Behold her. Look at her, readers. Single in the field. How is she in the field? She is single in the field. Yon solitary Highland lass. Okay, yon solitary. Yon is an old English or archaic words or Shakespearean old language, we say, right? Yon, Y-O-N. Yon meaning is given. Poetic word for yonder or meaning there. Okay, so there solitary. So the person is solitary, again single. And Highland lass. What do you mean by Highland lass? Highland is a place, the mountainous place in Scotland. Okay, Highland. Again, the meaning is given in the textbook, page number 37. Highland mean the mountain regions of Scotland. Lass. What do you mean by L-A-S-S? Lass means young girl. Okay, mostly unmarried young girl. Okay, so he is telling, behold her, single in the field, yon solitary Highland lass. Okay, what is she doing? Reaping and singing by herself. So this young girl, what is she doing? She is reaping and singing by herself. So reaper meaning is given. Someone who cuts down crops like corn or rye by hand. So you know how do they cut the crop? They have a sickle. Sickle is an kind of an instrument which they use. Can you see in the poem? I'll try to put one picture in the video as well. So the girl is cutting with the sickle, right? So, and while cutting, she is singing by herself. She is not bothered about what's happening around the world. She is so immersed in her work. She is so much concentrated. She's putting a lot of concentration on whatever she is doing, and at the same time she is singing. Stop here or gently pass. So what is he telling to the beholder? So the one who is looking, the readers, stop here. She is singing a song, right? So you stop here or gently pass. Don't make noise and disturb her. You be quiet. If you want to listen to the song, stop here. Otherwise, gently pass. Right? I read the stanza once again. Behold her, single in the field, yon solitary Highland lass, reaping and singing in by herself. Stop here or gently pass. Okay? That's your first stanza. You can try doing it in your own tunes, no problem. I just tried this tune. Okay. Second stanza. Alone she cuts and binds the grain. I already sang the stanza. No, I'll read the stanza now. Alone she cuts and binds the grain and sings a melancholy strain. Oh, listen, for the vale profound is overflowing with the sound. Okay, what is that the second stanza is saying? Let's go line by line. Alone she cuts and binds the grain. So she is all alone, single. She is cutting all the grains and binding them together. Binding them together means putting them together. If you have seen a paddy field, you will understand this. Once they cut some few, maybe 30, 40, they take a small leaf kind of a thing and they bind and put it separately. Again they take another 30 and put them separately. So likewise they get many of those bundles at the end. Likewise she is doing the work alone, all by herself. Alone she cuts and binds the grain and sings a melancholy strain. While she is doing this work, what is she doing? Singing a melancholy strain. What do you mean by melancholy? Melancholy means a sad song. Okay, strain is song or notes. Notes again refers to the song, lyrics. Fine. So how is this song? Is it a happy song that she is singing? No. She is singing a sad song. She is much interested in her work. While doing the work, she is singing a sad song. Oh listen, oh listen. Again he is referring to all of us. Oh listen, for the vale profound. He is telling vale, V-A-L-E. Here means valley. So vale profound is overflowing with the sound. How is her sound and the song? How is it? It is actually echoing in the entire valley. Because she is all alone doing her work and humming her song is resonated. Her song is reverberated, we say, right? So there is a little hyperbole, we say, right, in figures of speech. We'll come to the figures of speech at the end. But here, he is little exaggerating that the song is heard in the entire valley. That's how the poet feels at that moment. Okay? Let me repeat the two stanzas once again. Behold her single in the field. Look at her. She is single in the field. Yon solitary highland lass. Who is single in the field? One single highland lass. In the fields of Scotland, there is a young girl reaping and singing by herself. So she is doing the reaping work and singing by herself. Stop here or gently pass. Oh reader. Okay, as if you are also there in the part of that field, the poet is telling. You can stop here for a while. Otherwise, gently pass without disturbing her. Alone she cuts and binds the grain. Alone she is cutting all the grains and binding them, and sings a melancholy strain. While doing her job, she is also singing a sad song. Why is it sad song? We'll come to know later. Okay? The poet doesn't say anything much in the first two stanzas. Oh listen, oh you reader, listen. Oh the one who is listening to this, listen. For the vale profound. So how profound is the song? It is actually echoing in the whole valley. Is overflowing with the sound. The song is so soothing for the poet at that time. Did you all understand these two stanzas? Yeah? Shall we continue, or we'll go with the third stanza in the next one? Okay, in the next module. In the module 1, we have understood who is the poet for the poem The Solitary Reaper, and we have also seen the poet is William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth is known as what? I just told you, right? He belongs to an age called Romantic age in English literature. So what do you mean by romantic poet? Romantic poet is nothing but nature poet. Okay, the one who writes lot of poems on nature. They used to call them as romantic poets. Okay, so Wordsworth with his friend Samuel Coleridge has written number of romantic poems. Fine, and very popular poems are the Daffodils and the Solitary Reaper, the Prelude, and other works. Okay, so in our present poem, The Solitary Reaper, I am giving a quick recap. The title signifies that the poem is about one single reaper. Okay, a person is single and reaping the crops at that time and singing a song. Okay, so there may be now when we have understood the first two stanzas, We'll do the other figures of speech and others in the next module. Okay? I hope you all enjoyed the first 2 stanzas. Keep the 2 stanzas in your mind. Okay? So as homework, what is that I want to give you as homework today, you know? Try finding out from your parents and grandparents about such songs which were sung during that particular time in their own times when the crops were cut. Okay, so we are living in cities, we really don't know the happiness which they get or the kind of emotions that they go through when something happens to the plant, right? So all these things are very, very important. We cannot become materialistic or practical. What do I mean by materialistic? We should not only think about money all the time. Not money is everything, right? So values and morals are more important. And the farmers are really, really important because they are feeding us, right? So you may have so many farmers in your own families, right? You must give them respect, right? For whatever they are doing. That's what the chief ministers of these times, they are telling, that without a farmer there is no hope for the future, because they are the one who are giving us food. How much ever money we may have, what is the point if we don't have food? Somebody should make the food, right? So the lands are important, farmers are important. We should always give them respect. Okay, let's continue with the poem in the second module. Thank you, students.